on this computer. So today, I want us to look at, I wanted us to continue with some data structures, and that is basically what we are going to look at, sets and dictionaries, and then we're just going to code some small fun projects to show you how some of these things are actually implemented. So now, I think in the previous class we looked at tuples and lists. Am I right? We looked at tuples and lists. Then we looked at how to take user input. We looked at the different methods associated with these data structures, and yeah, I think if you practice a lot, you will be very, very familiar with these data structures. So someone might actually be wondering, why do we need different data structures? Why do we need a list? Why do we need a tuple? Why do I need a dictionary? Why do I need a set? So of course, usually the answer is the more you continue to practice, the more you're going to know where to use most of these things. But by the end of this session, we shall have a more clear picture about where to use what, and that is the beauty of data structures. So sets, we said, I think you say that set items or sets, okay? Let me just say sets. That sets are unordered. They are unordered. They are unchangeable, okay? And do not allow duplicate values. Now, I remember I tried to explain what unordered means, what unchangeable means. Unchangeable simply means immutable. You need to get used to that word. Even if you are in which programming language, you will hear a lot of immutability. So you need to take that into consideration whenever you are trying to deal with the data structure. So they are unchangeable, immutable. They are unordered, meaning they are not stored next to each other in memory. We saw like that in lists. For example, if I had a list, let me say list 1, and I said, we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this list is ordered. Now, in the orderliness we mean is you can access each of these items with an index. Okay, so I can print out item at position 0. Okay, so and that is it means that these items are stored next to each other in memory, and I can access them by basically indexing. That's what being ordered means. Now, unordered means that we are having this item, but it is all the members of that item are not stored next to each other in memory. So let us look at a set. So a set is, of course, let's say maybe, for example, this set. So this set. Now, sets, we saw that lists are stored using these square brackets. Tuples, we saw that, okay? Sets, we use these curly brackets, okay? So these curly brackets, let's store maybe an item, let's say maybe apple. Let's store an item, let's put another item, which is a banana. Let's store another item, which is maybe an orange. So when you have this set, okay, so, and we print out the type of set, okay, the type of set, we are going to see, sorry, look at what I'm typing also. So let me check for the type of this set, okay. It's going to give us that this is actually of a class set, and we discussed this in the previous classes. And if I print out, comment that out, that is just basically checking for the data type of the variable. So if we say that, actually, let's print out let's print out this set. When we print out this set, we are going to get our items, basically. Now, it looks like they are actually next to each other, yet I had said they are unordered. Now, this is because this is a very small set. But if we do have a very large set with 10,000 entries, 1,000 entries, you cannot predict how they're going to come out, okay? So they usually come out in a jumbled way. Every time you run that code, you cannot predict how those items are going to be printed. Now, sets can also have different data types, okay? Sets can have different data types, okay? Also, so we can have set one. Set one can have strings like how we saw. Let me just copy this. Let me copy this and paste it here. And I say set two. It can have our integers, right? We can have set three. Set three can be full of who remembers what these are? It's about booleans, okay? So true or false, okay? And we have to really understand that sets do not allow duplicate values, okay? So that is do not allow duplicate values. So sets are not allowing duplicate values. This is what we mean. Let's say my set, okay? Let's get a set and name it my set. I'm trying to use different variable names so that we do not confuse a notebook. So my set is equal to, let's say, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's put another 5. Okay. So when we come and say, let's print out my set. Okay. When we print out my set, we are going to have that extra 5 deleted. Okay. And one thing that we should note, in the start of I think that the very first session, we mentioned that computers store values in zeros and ones. And we said that these are binary codes. And when we are trying to deal with data types, we can think of booleans, which are true or false, as those binary codes. Now, this is what I mean. That when I come and say my set 2, maybe, and I assign it to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I put a true. All right. Let us try to print out my set 2, and you see what happens. That when we print out, actually true does not come. Okay. It's not printed out, but let us remove this one. If we remove that one and we run, we are going to get true in place of 1. So what we need to understand about sets is that true, let me make it capital, true and 1 are considered the same value. Okay, they are considered the same value. And now let's try this same concept but using a false. Okay, let me paste this set here. If I get that set there and name it my set 3, okay, my set 3, and I say maybe 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I say false. What happens if I try to print out I set 3. What happens is the false does not come. It's not printed out. Why? Because now in this case, if I'm to put this false and 0 and false and 0 are also considered the same value. And therefore, in a set, if you have a 1 and you have a true, that is a repetition. Okay, it's considered as a duplicate value because they carry the same value. If you have a 0 and you have a false, it is also considered the same value. And therefore, since sets do not accept duplicates, you do not have that item printed out. Are we together?
Yes.
So,
Joshua, to make sure that I've understood what you're saying, is that this programming understands 0 as false and 1 as true.
Exactly.
And because for this data type of sets, it does not allow duplicates.
Yes.
If you put true with 1, it will not print 1.
It will not print out the true. It will not print out the true.
Wait.
Like how we saw here, that if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and true, and we print out that set, it's going to ignore the true. Okay?
Yes.
It's going to print out the 1 as we see.
A question is, how does it choose to print 1 and ignore true and not true and ignore 1?
And ignore 1. So the compiler has it that 1 carries precedence over the true, and 0 carries precedence over the false. So you remember when we were talking about operators and we talked about precedence, that did we talk about precedence when we were talking about operators? Or
yes.
We all remember things like BODMAS, okay? When we are dealing with operators, we follow this order, okay? But in here we have PEDMAS, I think. We have PEDMAS, we have parentheses, exponential, the division, the multiplication, addition, subtraction. So the order matters. So in here, 0 carries precedence over false. So it's not going to print out false if there is 0. But it will print out false in the place of 0 in case 0 was absent. Always remember that, okay? And the same thing will happen here, that if 1 is absent, true is going to come, okay? So 1 carries more precedence over true, and 0 carries precedence over false. In simple terms, 0 is considered first before we say false is considered, and 1 is considered first before we say false is also considered. So I hope that has been cleared up. So now, always remember 1
Excuse me, Joshua.
0 is false. Yes?
Excuse me, Joshua. When I try to print here, I'm using Jupyter. Jupyter. And when I print, it gives me name error, false non-defined. What could be the cause?
So name error, did you define your variables?
My set.
The variable. So for example,
I've created a set.
you might have my set 3, okay, you might have my set 3, but here you are instead printing out my set, yet you do not have my set defined. Is that so? You can
no, it is fine.
Get a screenshot and post it in the chat, then we can follow up.
Okay. Thank you.
Josh.
Yes.
Just to like on one of the principles of sets is that they are unordered.
Yes.
Is that why when you, for example, my set 2 is 2, 3, 4, 5, then true comes last, yet it should be in position for 1, right?
It comes in position.
No, like,
so
no, before you print.
Yes.
When you write the set, my set 2 is equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, then true. Is that confirming that principle of unordered?
So what I meant by unordered, I mean that these items are not stored next to each other in memory. So we need to differentiate between what we are seeing here and what is in memory. Okay. So what memory? The memory is not storing these things as we are seeing them here. So as I said, the orderliness is the way we are seeing them here is because this is a small set. Have a set of 10,000 emails. They are not going to be next to each other in memory, and that say that access these items using an index. Are we together? That since they are not stored next to each other in memory, we cannot access these items using what? Using an index. But when it comes to loops, we shall say that we can access items in a set by just looping through a set. So I don't know if that clears. That clears.
I hope we will understand as we go along, but at least it's not what I was thinking.
Okay. So now,
Josh, a question. I had this. I tried jumbling them. Like, for example, instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I did like 10, 8, 6. But when I printed, they were reorganized in order. Is that normal? Is that how sets behave when you print them?
So, you're saying that you tried to jumble them and said, let me put maybe like, for example, the 4, the 3.
Yes, that one. And
you put the 5 here, and put it out.
Yes, exactly.
When set is arranging these items, it arranges them from smallest to biggest. Okay, but let me try to test something. Let's say I have my set 2, and I think let me show my set 2. What's wrong with my underscore? Set 2 is equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, and true. So we need to print out my set. Let's print out the set 2. This one you might not code along. I just want to show you something. So we are looking at something like that. So let me try to access where this set is. Okay. So I get the hexadecimal. Okay. I get the ID of my set 2. Okay. So it is stored at this address, right? Now, let me try to access the memory of where each of these are. So let me just look through this. We shall look at loops in the next session. So sorry, that, and then I say out my f string. I say I want to get the value. Okay, to get the value, and if I get the value, I want the value of the item. Okay, which I've described here. Value of item, comma. Okay, and let me just put the comma there and say xid of xid of my 2. X, I have one bracket here closed. This bracket is closed. Bracket is supposed to be closed. This bracket is supposed to be also closed. This bracket is supposed to be like that. Let me just do something like that. Address x2. Okay, so let me run. So we have item. Look at these values. Value 2 is stored at address 07F. Oh, you don't need to memorize this. 7FFF8 CDDD29D8. This is 39F8. That is where 3 is stored. This is stored at value 4 is stored at 3A18. Value 5 is stored at 3A38. So these are not next to each other in memory. Okay, I just wanted to bring out this concept properly for you to understand when we say it is not ordered. It's not an ordered item. So have I tried to shed more light on this, or have confused you more? Because it is pertinent for you to understand that when we are dealing with these data sets, we have data sets that are ordered, and we have data sets, data structures that are not ordered. Okay, so some of these things will just keep making sense the more you work with them. But what you need to remember about sets is that they are not ordered, and therefore they are not stored next to each other in memory. As you can see here, these addresses are not next to each other, and therefore you cannot access any item within a set using an index like how we saw in lists. Okay, so let me try to maybe print out my set, with it my set 2, yeah, my set 2, and I say maybe item that. Okay, run. So it's going to tell me that set object is not subscriptable. This is a type error. So I hope I have answered that question. Just give me some 30 seconds. Let me get back. Okay, sorry for that disturbance. So was it who was asking the question? Does this make sense to you? I don't remember.
Yeah, it does.
The name, but okay. Let us.
Hey, Joshua.
Yes. Yes. Does it make sense now?
Hey, Joshua.
Yes.
I got lost from hex. Is it hex?
Do not.
I got lost.
This, do not ignore this. I was just trying to drive the point home. It is not for this class. This is not for this class.
Oh.
Yes, I was just trying to locate the memory of where these values are stored, so that I can drive the point home. Ignore it. For that.
Okay.
So now,
okay, thank you.
Let us try to see how we can check. We saw in the previous classes we saw that we can actually access loops, sorry, items in lists by using the in keyword, and we can say maybe let me get the set. I think my button is having an issue. The set is equal to, let's get apple, let's get orange, and let us get be a cow. And we can print out, we can check if actually a certain item is within a set. And I remember we saw this in the previous tutorial. Well, let's say maybe is banana in this set. Okay, let me just copy that. Now we print. I'm checking if banana is in this set, and I should get a false because banana is actually not in that set. But if I get orange and say that, I get a true. So you can check sets using you can check if an item is within a set by just using the in keyword, and I can actually copy this code up here, paste it down here. Let me just comment using the in keyword. Okay, and here we are going to use the not in keyword. Okay, so here we are going to say, let's check if orange is not in this set. Who can guess the output of this code? Actually, at this point, I don't think we are guessing. You people are now Pythonistas. So who can tell me the output of this code?
False.
It is false?
Orange not in this set.
But orange actually in this set. So it is false. Okay. So we said that in sets we can actually add some items in case you want to add an item in a set. Add items in a set. We, for example, let's use this example, this same set. Okay. So we say this set, but we want to add something. We can just simply use set dot add. What did we call this? Let me check the memory of my people. What did we call this?
Method.
It's a method, exactly. So, and a method is always attached to an object, associated with an object. So now we can add ship onto this set, and let's print out this set. Let's print out this set. We should be able to see that. Actually ship is now stored in this set. But let's make it this small s, okay, so that we can keep them in that order. So now, when we can also add items, but let me get this set still and put it here, and we say maybe I can get another one. Let me say maybe districts can create a set called districts, maybe. So if I get a set called districts, this, okay, I can get.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Why did the ship go to position 2?
So
not at the beginning, not at the end. Is it because these ones, the order doesn't matter?
The order does not matter in sets. Whether it went here, whether it went there, whether it went where. The order does not matter. Actually, in memory, it is going to keep changing. I said what we see in memory, what we see here is different from what is stored in memory. But what is stored in memory is what matters. In memory, when we run this thing again, for us here, we might keep seeing ship at position number 2, but it has shifted the address in memory. Okay, so do not worry about where it is, whether we had used a capital letter, a small letter, whether it is A, whether it is what. Do not worry about that, because we see cow actually comes last, yet it's closer to C, isn't it? So let's, with sets, the order does not matter because they are not what?
Josh,
Yes.
actually, for me, my output sheep came last.
Exactly. So you never predict where it's going to be with sets. So for different people, it's going to be in different locations. But what is in memory is what matters. So let's get our districts. Kampala, let's say Masaka, let's say maybe Anaconda. All right. So let us try to say this set, okay? This set dot update. Okay, let's try to see what this dot update method does. So when I say this set dot update with the districts, okay, and I put districts in here, and I print out, I want to print out this set. This set, okay, so okay, we see that it combines the what? It combines the two items. But now let me try to show you something. If we had just copy these two and paste them down here, because here we are seeing they are both sets. And now let me try to make one a list. Okay, so try to make one list instead of being a set. Remember, a set has curly brackets, a list has square brackets. And we run this code. Okay, we run this code, this set.update with districts, and let's print out that set. Okay, when we run, we actually see that we get these two items also combined together. So when we use the update method, okay, so update method does not care about the data type that you are dealing with. So update method can be any iterable, can be.
Yes.
Yes.
What's the difference between 67 and 69?
What's the difference between 67 and 69? The two cells is that this is a set and this is also a set. Look at the curly brackets. I think I didn't, and I had not gotten your question, but this is a list. This is a list, okay? And I'm saying that when you use the update keyword, we are basically, it does not care which iterable with. It could be a tuple, it could be a dictionary. It will do what? It will combine the two. But we saw that in lists, you could not combine a list with a tuple. Do you remember when we tried to run that and got an error? So, but here when we try to use the update method, you can actually try to run those two. So let me try to see how we can this. So let me just this is the list, and this down here is a set. Okay. I'm sorry for taking you into the how Jupyter Notebook works. I had not yet. I didn't understood your question.
Yeah, but that was also a nice refresher. I think I hadn't mastered that as well.
Okay. So let us see how we can remove items from sets. So let me say maybe, for example, this set. Let me use this set as apple, orange, and cow. You can say this set dot remove. Okay, and use the remove method. I can remove apple. Okay, if I remove apple, of course, I'm going to let me print out this set. Oh, I want to print out this set and see what our new set looks like. It has orange and cow. So we have different set methods. Okay, different methods that we can use with sets. And we have seen some of these, and I wanted to show you some of these ones that are very important with sets, like how we used to do in our mathematics. We have the difference method. We have the discard method. Okay, we have the difference update. We have the intersection, like how basically we used to do it in mathematics. We have the union. Okay, we have there's difference update. I think also we can use difference update. Get this, paste it here. Yeah, so when we have some of these, let's just try to run through some of these, but don't worry about them. You actually don't need to remember all these things. I told you the best programmer is the best Googler. So the more you know how to Google your solution, the more you'll become a good programmer. So let us try to look at what difference does. So let us have a set 1, okay? For convenience, let us just have values in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just maybe I had already used set 1. Let me say my set, and let me copy this and say call this your set. So from here, let me start, instead of 1, 2, 3, let me start from 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So let us start with what difference method is. So if I say print, okay, so we want to print my set, okay, my set dot difference. Okay, so the difference with your set. Okay, so we want to check the difference between these two sets, between my set and your set. And when we print that, we shall see that actually the difference between the two is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let us try to check to discard. We saw the discard method. If I say print my set dot discard, okay, and let's say maybe we want to discard like 2 from my set. We put a 2. When I print that, I should get a none type. I remember I talked about a none type, but when I actually now finally print out my set, I should be able to see this final set without a 2. Okay, so you can check an intersection between the two sets. You can say print my set. Yes, that was my set dot intersection, okay, intersection with your set. With your set, and when we print that out, we get what the intersection between those two is. We can see it there. Let us try to get maybe, let's say, the union. Okay, so print my set dot union with your set. Okay, with your set, and we see that it prints out the union, but of course it does not repeat any. It does not repeat any value. The 456 is not repeated. It is here and it's also here, but in the union we do not have those items. Those items repeated. Okay, so we have my set. Let's say for difference, let's say what difference update does. So difference update is basically, let's say, print my set. I don't know what's wrong with my pattern, but let's say my set dot difference update with your set. Okay, so when let me put it in this cell here so that you are not confused by the many lines of code. When I run that, I get a none type, but when I actually print out this, my set, I get 1 and 3. So when in the difference update method, just removes elements of another set from your set. So in this case, remember we had removed the 2. So it came and removed the elements of this other set from my network got an issue. Okay. Are we back? So now difference update just gets the elements of another list of another set and removes them from the set that you have selected. So you can go on W3 Schools, look at the different formulas. These are the different methods that you can use with sets. Now I wanted to introduce this dictionary, the data set of a dictionary. Get it as a markdown, but make it big. So dictionaries are quite unique from what we have been seeing, in that they store data in what we call key and value pairs. Okay, because in key value pairs, and what you need to know is, let me get a markdown here and use a star. When I use a star, I create bullet points. Okay, so store data in key value pairs, and then the thing is that the dictionary is ordered. Okay, it's ordered. It's changeable, meaning mutable. It's changeable, but also does not allow duplicates, like how we saw a set. Okay, and then the other thing is that they are also written with curly. It's written with curly brackets, and we are going to see how dictionaries basically look like. So let me say my dictionary. Okay, my dictionary. So this is how a dictionary looks like. Okay, I use curly brackets. Okay, and here to maintain readability, it's nice if we After opening those brackets, just press an enter button so that you store every key value pair line by line. Okay, so I can say name. Now, when I do that, name, say my name is maybe Josh. What is my age? Use a full colon, not a semicolon. Okay, so my age is maybe 34, comma. What is my job?
Josh.
Yes.
Just to confirm that if I leave them in the line, is also okay. Same line.
It is also okay. It is also okay. But just trying to show you the readability when you have them in one the way I'm storing them, you are basically helped to be able to read. So for example, let me share a tab here. This is what this is not a dictionary, but this is a JSON file. Okay, imagine you had data like this all stored in one line. Okay, we see that we have also here, we have a key and a value, a key and a value, a key and a value. Imagine you had all these stored in one line. It would not be so readable like the way. Yeah, exactly. So it is nice if you actually tried to make them line by line, just as a practice. Here it is still a small dictionary, but when it grows, you'll see trouble. So now,
Josh.
Yes.
You said, how do you make them bullets like that?
How do I make them bullets? I said that when you are after creating the dictionary like this, just press enter. Python, if you're using a code editor, it will automatically indent for you. Okay. So let me paste back what we had. So
Josh, yes. Below the word dictionary, the points you put.
Let me repeat it. So my dictionary.
No. Josh, you're not getting me. You have a heading dictionary.
Oh,
you
these
have
ones in here. These are stars.
This
star. I thought we are within this thing. That's what I thought that you are meaning.
Okay,
so this is just press a star, that asterisk, and then press enter. But make sure that the cell is a markdown.
Okay.
Yeah. So job, let me say I'm a DJ, and if I come and print out my dictionary, I get let me print it out. We get our dictionary in that order. Okay. Now we can also use a dictionary constructor or the dictionary method. As we saw with lists and tuples and sets, we can also create we can use a dictionary method to create a dictionary. But usually, of course, most of the times when you're trying to create a dictionary, you're going to use the syntax directly. You're not going to suffer using that dictionary method. But if you find someone using it, do not worry. Let's say maybe I want to create a dictionary called another dict. Okay. So I will use this keyword, the dict. Okay. Okay. So this is also a function on itself. Okay, it's a function, it's by itself. So dict, I say name is equal to, I can say John, or let me say John, and age is equal to 36. Okay, 36. And I say country is maybe Uganda. Okay, so This is a weird way of creating these dictionaries. It might get you confused as a starter, but just note here that the keys, even if it is a string, you do not put quotes, okay? You just say name is equal to that, age is equal to that, country is equal to. Now the value is the one that is supposed to be in quotes if it is a string, but if it is a float, if it is an integer, if it is a Boolean, no problem. So for example, I can say true here. I can say true, and it will still run the way it is supposed to run. Now, this is using the dictionary method, but most of the times just stick to this. This can get a bit confusing. I also don't personally use it, but I just wanted to show you that that is a method that exists. So let's try. Yes.
I did that that dictionary under line 112. I did it, but it's giving me a syntax error. I don't know why.
I said take these. Make sure that they are full. They are colons, not semicolons.
That's what I did. But what about this bracket?
Oh, okay. Oh, the comma. The comma here. There's a comma here. There's a comma here. This is the last element.
To Flavia, yes.
It doesn't need the comma here. It doesn't need the comma here. If it is the last element, put a comma if you're going to put another key value pair. Or if that is not what
here, this curly bracket, the lower one.
This. You post your screenshot within the chat. Have a look at it.
I advise that you read what the error says. Usually, all the mistakes are in there. In the error, yeah.
Telling me curly bracket was never closed.
Yes. So this one, let me try to answer this.
Let me just.
So now curly bracket was never closed. Yeah, your issue has been solved.
No, it hasn't. Let me share it and you see what's up.
You can paste the code. So now we can try to use we can try to access dictionaries, okay, using let me shorten this and maybe name it my dict. So when I say my dict, I can access an item in accessing items in a dictionary. So we access using, let me show you. We remember we have, this is a key, and this is what? This is the value. This together is a key value pair. So if, for example, I say print my dict, and I use also my my full what are those called, square brackets, and I say maybe name, okay, I will access Josh. If I say print my dict, I say age, it's going to give me the age. So, but let me try to print out my dict, but I use a value, okay, and you see what happens. So I say DJ. So it's going to tell me that, you know what, the key error, this is a key error. So this key does not what? Does not exist. Okay. So in most cases, if you want to try and look for these things, we have methods. If you want to look for keys, also if you want to look for values, okay? So we are going to look at that. So when you're trying to look for to access an item, do not access an item using the value like this. This will throw a key error because this method accesses only keys. Okay, so let's delete that. Bad practice, don't do it. And let me try to show you something that actually we can make our dictionary also like this. Let me say, let me first take it back to lists, okay? I can say that we can create a list, open these brackets, and copy this dictionary within this list. Okay, I can copy that dictionary within that list, put a comma after that dictionary, and I can also put the same dictionary, but let me change the names here. I say maybe name here is Janet. I say maybe the age is 80, and maybe she is job is just an old woman. Okay, so now we have stored two dictionaries actually within a list. Yeah, but what if you want to access these items? So if you have to access some of these items, let's first print out the list and say
Josh. Josh.
Mm.
What if you accidentally deleted some code? Is there a way you can go back in Jupyter?
If you accidentally did what?
Deleted some
code in a cell.
Yeah, from a previous cell, yeah.
Oh, a previous cell. Actually, that is one thing I haven't experimented with, but it is within the same cell, you can just undo. If it is within the previous cell, really it stays in
Can
memory.
you undo a previous action?
Let me say, for example, now if I come here, I'll keep running because I didn't run that cell. I just deleted the cell, but if I go there, I can Control Z and undo.
Control Z, right?
Yes.
Let me check here.
So
thank you. It has worked.
So now
I don't know how I didn't think about Control Z. Josh, I'm kindly requesting that you go back behind slightly.
Just copy this code that I'm going to put in the chat and put it within your. So this is a list containing two dictionaries. Okay. So let me see. Flavia said my dictionary is equal to that, and name is Flavia. The comma, is it? Am I saying badly, or the comma is actually inside of Flavia instead of being outside the quote?
I've put it again outside out Flavia, but it has failed.
Oh, the syntax error, invalid syntax at age 27.
Unexpected indent.
Unexpected indent. Yes. Now you see, I remember mentioning that Python is very indent sensitive. Okay. So you see the way you are typing your code. Okay. If it is, for example, if I'm trying to replicate what you typed, you have my dictionary equal to the print statement is under my dictionary. So get that print statement. Your print statement is somewhere here. Put back to the start. Okay. And your code will run. So Python is very serious with indentation. So whenever you see something like indentation, so when you put print here,
has worked.
So yes, when you print here, it simply means that this print statement is under that code. Okay, it's not its own line, and we shall see that when we get to things like loops and if. That is where the indentation is really going to matter a lot. And your code will bring through weird errors if you don't indent it properly. So make sure that you always indent your code properly. So now we have a list having two dictionaries, okay? And you see also me here, if I try to run, it's going to tell me indentation error because this print statement is far from this far from the margin. So we have printed out our list. Now, let's say we maybe want to get the name Josh, yeah? So we'll simply say print. Now, we want to print, what am I typing? So print list, okay? Open our brackets. Now in lists, remember that we could actually use, what were they called? Indexes. So 0, okay, index 0. Now if I print out index 0, it's going to give me this, okay, this list, as well as this dictionary only, because it's the one that is at position 0. But I wanted to access the name. So I'll just say name there, and then I'll access Josh. So let's say we had, for example, instead of maybe name here, we have a list having values 1, 2, 3. Okay. Maybe let me call this name 2, page 2, and job 2. Okay. So if I want to access, now this is, I'm just trying to show how to play with accessing items within these data structures. So I'll say list, okay, because it is stored in a list and it is on index 1. Index 1 is the second item, okay, index 1. So if we try to print it out, it's going to tell us, yes, you are on index 1. And this is name 2 with the list also. But I want to access an element within that list. But the list is, we see that it is a value. So we need to access that value through its key, right? So I put another square bracket, which is the key name 2, okay? So I come and say name 2. And if I print that, I see that I access that. But within name 2, I can actually access an item 2, right? And that's how I land on accessing 3. So it is just here a matter of trying to play with indexing and, trying to access these items by also taking into consideration their specific data types. This is the list, but it is within a dictionary, and this dictionary is within another list, okay? You will find some data structures where it is a dictionary within a list, within a list, within a list, within a list. And now if you haven't mastered how to access these things using indexes and accessing using values, it will become a bit confusing. So let us have something that is very useful in dictionaries. I'm not going to take you through dictionary methods because for that one, we shall go to W3 schools, because I want us to run through some small projects in the last 15 minutes. You'll just come to your dictionaries and you look at the dictionary methods, okay? And you'll see what these do, okay? They give you very beautiful examples and you can see what each of these does. But you do not need to cram all these. Just remember that. You don't need to cram all these. You can always Google your way, and with time, you just find yourself, and these things come like second nature. So I just wanted to show you that actually dictionaries can actually have any data type, okay? Let me name a dictionary and, sorry, not this dictionary. And I say, name is, I say, let me get someone from the group. So name is Provia. I say maybe greeting is hello, right? And I say something like maybe nose python. Nose python is, let's say, true. Yeah, nose python. Okay.
Very
now,
true.
So let us now print out our dictionary. Print out our dictionary. Okay. So we get this. All right. But let us try to say, maybe, can we use a number as a key, right? Or maybe let me just try to put it on second line so that we can keep referencing. So if I said 1, 2, 3 here, I think it's fine. If can I access, we are using 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I actually can. But let's just try to play around a little bit and say, maybe, what if I said this one is return it into a tuple? We remember tuples. So let's say this greeting, or let me just try to, let's say, maybe true here. True, and see, can I access the value hello using true? So true, let me say, okay, dictionary, I want to access the value of true, which is hello. Okay. Okay, it works. What if I put, say, let me change this and put a tuple. I say 1, 2, 3. And what if I came here and said, I want to print out the value of 1, 2, 3. Okay. So key error true. Right. So let me see what is the issue here. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Comment this out first, see what the issue is. So we print out, we can access the value of hello using this, but let us change this into a list. Okay, let us change this into a list and say we want to access the value of that using, we want to access this value using a list. And let's run that. We get an error. It says unhashable type list. Now, this is where the trick is. When you're dealing with dictionaries, make sure that this dictionary, a list cannot be a key because it is a mutable data type. Okay, list cannot be key because it is a mutable data type. Data type. All keys of a dictionary are supposed to be immutable. In other words, they're supposed to be unchangeable. You remember we said strings. Once a string the string is created, it cannot be changed. We said a tuple is unchangeable. Once it's created, it cannot be changed. An integer is unchangeable unless you reassign it. Okay, so that is the rule with creating keys in dictionaries. Okay, so now here it remains until I change it back to an immutable data type. Otherwise, it's going. It is run. Oh, yeah. I didn't change this. Let me get that. Okay, and then it brings hello. So for dictionary keys, I will encourage you to go to W3 Schools. We are already running out of time. And so I hope we have gotten the gist about dictionaries, sets, and all these other data structures. And I wanted us to bring into perspective what we have actually been trying to study, to try and look at the different, how basically these things work. So we're just trying to build some mini projects, very small projects, because we are still early in Python. We can build small projects, build a small calculator. You can build a small, let's say, temperature. Let's just be, there's some things that are very common, like a temperature converter. When you try to look for exercises, you'll find it. You'll find it there as part of an exercise. So temperature converter. Let me get this as a markdown. So let us convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Maybe, like, for example, to Fahrenheit. Okay, so let's look for the formula. Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay. So what is it is the temperature in degrees times 9 out of 5 plus 32. Okay, that should be the formula that works. I think if everyone remembers from our P4 science, this is the formula, how it works. Now, let us see. We want, first of all, let's break down the problem into steps. Okay. Step one. We want the user.
I think just here you should go a bit slowly.
I'm trying to break down now the problem, because when we are starting to program.
Oh yeah, on the problem.
When we're starting to program, one of the problems that we looked at is we are facing is the lecturer would come and teach loops, would come and teach assignment operators, would come and teach all these things. And then you wonder, where am I going to actually run? How do I develop the next Netflix? How do I develop the next Microsoft Office? How do I develop the next website using this code? And it used to absolutely not make any sense at all. So that is why I wanted to at least bring you into perspective of what we are doing. Though we are still early, it's like trying to tell a first-year medical student who has just studied anatomy to go and perform a surgery, you know? So we are not going to go there. Let's just go slowly with small projects until when we reach the end, then we shall start building big projects. So now, step one, okay, let us collect, let's tell the user to enter the temperature, for example, temperature, right? Step one. Step two, we shall define the formula of converting, convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit, okay? And the third step is we shall just print out. Yes.
Can that X would this thing can X be the same as a star, like times?
No. X is X. X is X and the star is a star. Okay. So okay. So now step three. Step three, we shall print out the converted temperature. Right? So let us comment this out, or maybe I can just make this a markdown so that we can keep seeing. Let me just put these stars so that we have bullet points. Now, step one, we are saying we want the user to enter the temperature. In the previous class, we saw how to enter temperature. How to collect user input. Who remembers the function that we use to collect user input?
I think we'll say temperature is equal to input.
So we mentioned something about an input function. Okay. So to collect the user, we have to basically tell the user to input. But let's say this, we want to select the
Josh.
user to enter the temperature in
Josh.
Celsius. Yes.
Sorry for taking you back, but how do you get the degrees symbol?
I just copied. I copied this from Google and pasted. I just copied it and pasted it there. So you can ignore it, but I just copied and pasted it. So now we want the user to enter temperature in Celsius. Okay, so Celsius, okay, that is our variable. And we're saying we want the user to input, and we're telling them to enter temperature, in Celsius. Okay, so telling the user to do that. And when you run that cell, for example, you see that it will tell them that please enter the temperature in Celsius, and we can enter maybe like 34. Okay, so our variable, we are collecting our variable there. Okay, that is step 1. We have defined our variable Celsius, and we are saying please input, and we are telling the user to do this. Step 2, we are trying to define the formula. Now, the formula, remember, Celsius is our variable, which is storing.
Joshua, sorry if I missed something. How did this enter temperature in Celsius 34 come about?
We have the input function. We are collecting user input. When you collect user input, we use this input function.
Yeah,
so
the
for
34.
Example, so the 34, when I ran this cell, it told me, please enter temperature and whatever, and I entered it, and I pressed enter.
Okay.
So it stayed there. So now, this is our step 1, user enter the temperature. Let's comment it. Now we are going to our step 2, where we need to define the formula to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit. So to Fahrenheit, which we want, I think that's the spelling, Fahrenheit that we want is equal to Celsius, which the user is actually putting in, okay? Because we want to base that output on, to make this calculation based on what the user enters. So Celsius times, as we are seeing it here, this is the degrees Celsius, times 9 out of 5, times 9 out of 5, okay? But we see that this is actually in brackets. You remember our formula, fed mass? Fed mass means, now let us first try to do this without brackets, then we see what happens. Then plus 32, okay? That would be equal to Fahrenheit. So now step 3 is printing it out, printing out the actual converted temperature. Let me just comment it out and now enter my code. This is actually, you'll be coding, you'll be commenting, so that in the future, when you look at that code, you remember what you're actually trying to write. So print, not in capital letters, print, okay? I think we remember our F strings, okay? So print, now we want to collect the Celsius, okay? We want to collect the degree of Celsius because we want it to print out something like, your degree, maybe 32 degrees that you entered is equal to this degree in Fahrenheit, okay? So what we need to do is to come and collect this variable that the user entered, okay? Celsius. For me, I'm lucky I have this thing here. I can copy this so that it looks neat when we print it out, but let me also paste it in the group chat for you to use and see how I've pasted it in the group, that degree Celsius. So now when we get, we say, F string, the temperature in degrees Celsius is equal to, we open our brackets again. I remember we saw this last time when we were dealing with F strings. No one is confused. So Fahrenheit, we collect our temperature in Fahrenheit, paste it there, okay? And let me get this thing. I have degree F, so let me just paste it.
Excuse me, just
there.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, I see you're pasting the 02. Shouldn't you just paste the degrees Celsius only?
So you're saying that I'm pasting the 02.
Yeah, the zero degrees Celsius.
This is a symbol for degrees. Oh, yeah. That. Sorry. So this Celsius is equal to that Fahrenheit. Let us try to run this. Okay, we have all our steps covered. Let's try to run. So the user comes and says, maybe the temperature 50 in degrees Celsius. What is it in degrees Fahrenheit? I run that. So we get an error. Unsupported operand types for string and int. Who can in the code that we have written can actually tell me what is wrong with our issue? Who can try to guess what is wrong with our issue? What's wrong with our code?
Strings and integers.
Pardon?
Adding an integer to a string without converting it to a string.
Without converting it. And the issue is coming from here. Okay? So don't always forget that when you use the input function, it is going to get whatever value you have put there. Even if it's a number, it's going to become a string by default. So, and a string cannot come here and do this mathematical calculation. So what we need to do is to typecast, or we can even say float, okay? Because we want, you can put in a temperature that is not an integer. You can put in like 52 point something, okay? So now let us try to use the float function and wrap your input function in that. So when I run that, I say 34, for example, let me say 50. I run that, now I get this. But let's try to check here at Google in our thing. Is 50? It's actually 50. It is actually 122. But let us try to say maybe 50.8, 52.8. Let's run our code again and run that. Maybe I'm using it gets 127. Is it the correct one? A little bit. But if we have a complicated formula, now here we are looking at something like PEDMAS, okay? So the exponential is being evaluated, okay? The multiplication is being evaluated. The addition is being evaluated last, since we don't have subtraction. But to keep the integrity of our formula, we want to make sure that we do what? We have this thing wrapped in here, because we want our computer, our interpreter, to first calculate whatever is in here and then add it to 32. And when we put these brackets, we are telling the interpreter that I want whatever is within brackets, which are the parentheses, to be evaluated first. And this is what I was saying, that if we can have things like, this is what we call operator precedence. So all these are operators, but they all have precedence over each other. one is considered first than the other. So now let's run it again. So maybe 700, and oh, I do not need to run to run here. I just press enter and it will be converted into. Are all our temperature converters working?
So mine is So the only point I reached was when we're talking about Celsius float inputs, enter temperature 34. The rest, when I click run, they bring for me that cell not executed due to pending input. So the cell has not been executed to avoid kernel deadlock as there is another pending input. Submit your pending input and try again.
When you are here and you press your whatever, don't press shift enter. Don't press shift enter. Just press enter here. When you are told. For those
Josh,
who are using,
Josh.
Yes.
Hold up. So at enter temperature in Celsius, I've entered 50 and I first ran code, it wrote that thing. Then I just pressed enter, it brought me an error.
No, when you do
Instead
this,
of
when you get something like this, just say okay and you go back and press enter. Just say okay and go back and run that code and press enter. So for those who are using, let me try to use Jupyter here. Let me open a folder. Let me select desktop. Maybe I'll get Python tutorial. Select that folder. Okay. Calculator .py. If I save that as .py, let me get this code that I have here and paste it in VS Code. Let me zoom out a little bit. So when I run this code, you see your output is down here in the console. So if I press 50, it runs here in the what? In the console. That is for those who are using